We're going to focus first on our top story in the news, all of this unrest in Ferguson, Missouri.
That's right, after that grand jury decision that means that Daren Wilson, so the white police officer that shot dead an unarmed black teenager, Michael Brown, back in August, well, he is not going to face charges for that. You can read about it here in the Washington Post. This is, of course, a developing story, so lots of updates coming in. This decision immediately triggered outrage and violent protests. You can see a photo here of police trying to crack down on these protests. So these protests broke out in Ferguson, of course, but also in other parts of the country as well. We've been seeing lots of demonstrations in New York, Chicago. President Barack Obama has called for calm, as has the family of Michael Brown, although they do say we are profoundly disappointed that the killer of our child will not face the consequences of his actions.
And there's a lot of criticism about the grand jury itself that came to this decision. And I have to say, it seemed like a rather nervous news conference when the public prosecutor made the announcement.
That's right. There's lots of criticism today, especially in the U.S. media. I pulled out, first of all, this article from the Daily Beast. It's quite a bitter article, it must be said. You can see they're talking about how the grand jury bought Daren Wilson's story. But this article says the truth is that in a case like this, it's difficult to discern exactly what happened, given the mass of confusing and sometimes contradictory accounts of what happened. So this article hopes that the Missouri legal system will make all the evidence public eventually. And this article is also critical of Missouri's law when it comes to regulating the use of deadly force by police officers. This article points out that Missouri law still follows the old common law rule that basically it's lawful to shoot and kill a fleeing suspected felon, even if the suspect doesn't pose an immediate danger to the police or to the public.
Because in a lot of places, it's only if the person's sort of coming at you and threatening your life that you're allowed to shoot, right?
Absolutely. Although another article I pulled out, The Nation, so this is a New York-based magazine, it points out that this law isn't an outlier. It's fully in sync with the Supreme Court jurisprudence. According to The Nation, it's really critical of what it calls a system that protects police. This is not just something that's happening in Ferguson. This is actually the truth in general. And you can see the title here. It's quite shocking. It says it's impossible to indict a cop. And this article says that even though this grand jury decision in Ferguson might be shocking, it's depressingly predictable.
Well, let's stay with the United States for our next story. A lot of papers looking at the former head of the Pentagon, Chuck Hagel, who's just handed in his resignation. People wondering, how did this come about? Was he pushed? Did he jump?
That's right. What happened here? The use of words is very interesting today. Let's take a look at the front page of the Wall Street Journal. They talk about how he was ousted after talks with Obama. The Daily Beast also talks about his sudden firing, and they say that he actually took a bullet for Barack Obama. The timing of his ousting is conspicuous, according to the Daily Beast, and it fuels allegations that he's being made into a scapegoat for basically mistakes that the White House has made recently when it comes to foreign policy, whether it's this response to ISIS or Russia or even the outbreak of Ebola. I pulled out another article, this time in the Washington Post, which is also critical of Obama. You can see here it says that he's turning into George W. Bush. What is this about? It seems like this is quite a shocking headline. Well, it points out that Obama sacked Chuck Hagel after huge midterm losses in the 6th year of his presidency, and this is exactly what George W. Bush did. He sacked Donald Rumsfeld in the middle of his 6th year and after huge midterm losses. And on top of that, this firing, or his decision to leave, his departure, exactly, comes as the war in the Middle East. A war in the Middle East is getting really bad. So according to this article, when Barack Obama looks in the mirror these days, he sees George W. Bush.
Right, and the next step is to find a replacement for Chuck Hagel, of course. Okay, final story. Now, this is for all those of you who wonder what happens to your luggage when it gets lost. The New York Times has the answer.
That's right. This is a really fascinating article. I know I've always wondered what happens to lost luggage. You can see here it talks about a place where lost luggage gets another shot. This is Scottsboro, Alabama. It's close to the middle of nowhere, according to the New York Times, but it does have a one-of-a-kind secondhand shop. The shop is called unclaimed baggage center. Not a very original name, but basically it's kind of like your average department store, except for its shelves are stocked with all the contents of lost and stray luggage. They have incredible things. You have guitars, all sorts of, electronics, etc. Lots of clothes that you can have. They have a photo of a wedding dress.
Oh no, someone's wedding dress got lost
at one point. Now,
sad.
basically, this store has an exclusive contract with U.S.-based airlines, and so these airlines give passengers 90 days to claim their luggage, and if not, its contents ends up in the store.
Oh, that's quite sad, but yes, at least they do get a new life. Amazed at that wedding dress. You'd think someone would keep quite a tight hold of that, wouldn't you? Thanks very much, Flo, with a look through the international press for us there. We're going to take a short break now here on Live from Paris. Do stay with us. When we come back, we're going to have plenty of updates for you from Ferguson, Missouri. Live pictures on your screen there of one of the at least a dozen buildings set on fire in this suburb of St. Louis.